Hey friends, I'm in Macon, Georgia, and this is the Big House. The Allman Brothers lived here from 1970 to 73. It was their band house. It's been turned into a museum, and it is a great museum. I'm going to do a walkthrough. We're going to talk about Dickey Betts since Dickey Betts died yesterday. We'll show you some guitars and some cool stuff that's on display.
Welcome to the Allman Brothers Band Big House Museum here in Macon, Georgia. It's significant because it preserves the legacy of one of the top rock and roll bands in America. They were the highest paid rock band in America. At one time, they were the first integrated rock band in America, the first rock band from the South, first long-haired men to arrive in Macon, first rock band to get paid royalties on merchandising, first rock band to be involved in politics with Jimmy Carter, whom they helped get elected president. I grew up here in Macon, and back in the day, they used to play softball at some of the elementary schools. And Dickey showed up one time. It wasn't Dwayne and Greg and all them, but J-Mo, Butch, the Roadies, and they'd all love playing softball on a hot day with cold beer going around. And I was 14, 15 years old and out there playing first base with them and hitting softball and picking up my Budweiser and playing the first base. And I got up the nerve to bum a Marlboro Red from Dickey one day. And that was like, made my whole month, you know. That was my bragging rights. Now, I've met just about all of them, except Dwayne and Barry.
I just saw the Limbic guitar in there. What's the story behind that?
Well, that was just presented to Dickey. It was the same manufacturer made some of the Grateful Dead guitars, I believe. I don't know if it was Tiger or stuff like that. But I think one of Jerry's. But yeah, I think Dickey said he didn't really like it. It didn't sound like it didn't get the Les Paul sound that he wanted. Yeah. So he didn't really play it that often. Well, he just passed yesterday. Word didn't get out. We kind of kept on down low as long as we could. And then around noontime, it was pretty much widespread, public knowledge, common knowledge by, say, lunchtime. Okay. And people came in, but people were still coming in unaware. Right up Corbin, he lived 8 houses up Corbin. There's one of the 50-something music flats in Macon. He's in the front yard. It's where he wrote the song Jessica. But him and Blue Sky would walk down the sidewalk and come in here and stay in the parlor on the sofa sleeper bed. Where that velvet rope is, that's where they pull out the bed and stay. Preserving the Allman Brothers legacy, when Dwayne was here, he brought in people like Boz Skaggs and Dr. John moved to Macon. And they single-handedly kind of showed people how to live in harmony with your fellow man. They didn't just preach it like preachers. I mean, I don't know of any preachers that would say that, but still had a black person living in their house. They might say it's something you should do it, but did they practice what they preached? Yeah. But the Allman Brothers did. Not only does J-Mo live with them, he's employed, equal opportunity. They could have easily said, J-Mo, look, man, we're catching too much crap here. We're going to have to let you go. Or J-Mo could have said, man, I'm catching, this ain't working out for me. No, they all persevered through everything. And that was a lot to persevere through. Yeah. The police, people, looking at them funny and calling them names, and Dwayne passing and Barry passing, and this, that, and the other was happening. And they stayed together.
Do we know where Dickey's going to be buried?
I think in Florida. The rumor was for a long. I was telling people he's going to be buried by the band, but I've heard differently now. He was basically the triple threat, if not more, because he could sing, write songs, play that guitar, and more. I mean, he was the glue that held the band together. He had to break out the slide and take over the slide duties when Dwayne was. They're like, "Where did you learn to play the slide?" Oh, I just kind of had it back. Well, didn't need it with Dwayne around, but yeah, here it is now. Yeah. So there was some incredible stuff going on here. And he wrote a country song right there in that room, right here. And going shopping in Nashville, they decided to put it on an Allman Brothers record, and it hit the big time. That was, of course, Ramblin' Man. Never hit number one because Cher had Half Breed. So Greg just marries the woman and lived almost happily ever after here in Macon for a while anyway. And I lived in that house for a time. I could go on and on about that house. I will say the one fact about that house where Greg and Cher lived, they didn't have the only ensuite bedroom in that house. It's a small house. The ensuite bedroom was given to Chink. Greg and Cher had to use a little hallway bathroom, which I found incredible, because that's the one I had to use. I couldn't use my girlfriend's ensuite bathroom. It was all famous to me. Yeah, I had to go down the hallway and use the little bathroom that Greg and Cher used. Has a big picture window in it and stuff. Wow. The house is 80% glass. 12 sets of sliding glass doors. I go on and on.
Okay.
I'm on a roll now. I guess you know the story about the Fillmore East album. Twigs was so special. Here's some unprecedented things about this. The leader of the band, of course, is holding a little something in his hand right there. They all could have gone to prison for that. Jim Marshall said, "You're not getting any of that coke till get a smiling shot."
Jim Marshall's the photographer, right?
This photographer. He's almost gotten fed up with these guys. Dwayne to go in and just score some cocaine in the alley, just right off the picture here. Comes back, sits back down like, what? So you're not getting into that cocaine till I go smiling shot. They're like, oh, you mean like this? The quality of the music is unprecedented. Leader of the band's holding cocaine. I think that's probably unprecedented. The one I got from Michael Allman has the original label, a specially priced 2 LP set. Phil Walden priced it for 1 album price. Unprecedented. The length of the songs on here is unprecedented. Yeah. No band had this lineup of this lengthy songs. Iron Butterfly, Henry the God of the Vita, that's kind of a one-off. Grateful Dead has some stuff, but not on one lineup. Twigs is in jail for murder. Our local boy, Twigs.
Yeah.
That's unprecedented. And to include him on the back of the album, even though he's in jail for murder. The Roadies, equal billing. That's unprecedented.
That's beautiful, actually.
Red Dog's holding a joint. That might not be unprecedented, but it's still funny. Kim Payne been shot through the leg with .357 by a wannabe cop. It's just a lot of stuff going on. I like showing people exactly where all that happens. Hello, y'all.
Hey, friends, here's that walkthrough that I promised you. I'm going to show some of the highlights, some of the things that I thought were really cool. This room right here is where they used to rehearse. And that mural back there is from the closing night of the Fillmore East. This is Barry Oakley's Fillmore East t-shirt. That's a pretty damn good looking t-shirt if you ask me. Now this Fender pedal steel guitar once belonged to a very young Ronnie Van Zant. And Scott Boyer used this on Greg Allman's Laid Back solo record, and he played it on the Laid Back 74 tour. And this Hammond B3 belonged to Greg Allman, and he used it with the Greg Allman Band back in the 1980s. And this jacket here was worn by Dwayne on the cover of the first Hourglass LP. So this great-looking Guild Starfire bass belonged to Greg Allman, and it's meant to represent the one that Barry Oakley played in the early days of the Allman Brothers Band. This is one of Dwayne's Marshall heads and speaker cabinets, and it's supposed to represent the Idlewild South era, so I'm guessing it's on that record. I'm not sure. On top of it is one of Greg's songwriting notebooks, which includes some songs in it that ended up on the record. And above that is the very first Allman Brothers Band t-shirt covered by a vintage vest that was shared by the entire band. A band that shares vests together stays together. This tobacco burst Les Paul is a prototype from Gibson that was made to match the original guitar that Dwayne played the last 4 months of his life. There's also this Les Paul SG that Dwayne acquired from Dickey Betts. I don't know if that's the real thing or if it's a replica. I'm not sure. And this is a great looking Warehouse New Orleans t-shirt that Dickey Betts wore when they played there in 1972 on the Eat a Peach tour. This Marshall cabinet was one of Dwayne's, and I love the homemade grill cloth made out of a pinto bean sack. This Capricorn jacket belonged to Allman Brothers Band roadie Red Dog. It's a great looking jacket, and the blue jacket was worn by bassist Lamar Williams in the iconic photograph of Jimmy Carter taken at one of the benefit shows the Allman Brothers Band did for Carter's 1976 presidential campaign. It's an interesting looking alembic bass and really great looking Gibson Les Paul Deluxe that was Dickey Betts, and it's signed by Dickey and Dan Toller. I'm not sure if I got a good picture of it or not, but this Leslie belonged to Greg Allman. And this guitar was owned and played by Jack Pearson, who's a great guitar player. He called it mutt since the body's a Strat and the neck is off a Telecaster. So these are three of the earliest Allman Brother Band amplifiers. One was Dwayne's, and it was later used by Ron Blair with Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. And one was Barry's. Barry's amp serial number actually matches the 1969 Lipham Music receipt. Dickey's amp is a 1968 Silverface Bassman. Anybody who's ever played any of these know that they absolutely scream. And this Gibson Firebird was owned and played by Warren Haynes during some of the government mule shows. This is Dwayne Allman's bedroom from early 70 to early 71, and a lot of his personal belongings laying around. The Les Paul Jr. in the case on the wall is his first ever electric guitar. And Dwayne eventually traded the guitar at a pawn shop. And years later, Delaney Bramlett would purchase the guitar, not knowing it belonged to Dwayne. And the white Fender Stratocaster belonged to Greg. It was frequently used with his band. This is Barry and Linda Oakley's daughter Brittany's room, faithfully recreated by Linda and Brittany. And check out the yellow dress in the closet worn by Brittany on the back cover of Brothers and Sisters. This is Barry and Linda Oakley's bedroom. Just a beautiful, beautiful rooms in this house. And the furniture's beautiful, the bed's beautiful. This is the Casbah Lounge. This room was pretty much the listening room and the relaxation room, and you can use your imagination of what took place here. And in the legendary seven-head shower, there's way more to this museum, and that's just some highlights. I strongly recommend if you take a trip to Macon, swing through and check out the big house. There's so many other things to see here that I've seen on other trips. I had a very small, tight window and just couldn't make it to everything. So I went in and saw the big house, and it's absolutely beautiful. But have you been here? Why don't you tell me about it in the comments down below if you have, and I will see you somewhere down the road. Much love to you.